All right, we're here on a special Couch Coach Live. Merry Christmas, Couch Coaches. We are here. We're going to get you primed and ready for today's Christmas Day games. Got my guy here. Got my guy Chirs Bolton from WCBI in Mississippi. Also, the Check Up with Bolton podcast. And one of my Off the Ball Network colleagues, my brethren, Chirs Bolton. What's going on, Chris? What's going
What's
on,
going
man?
on with it? What's up, man? We
Yeah.
finally been able to make this happen. It's been in the making.
Yes, sir. And Merry Christmas to you as well, sir. We'll get
Hey,
it all
Merry
going.
Christmas, Merry Christmas.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully you got some good presents this year.
Absolutely. Of course, I got Chris, the pride of Stark Vegas. Stark Vegas.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Straight out the Ville. Hey, Mississippi State.
Vegas. Let's go. Let's go. So, man, let's get it going, man. Let's start about our NBA preview. So, what is the biggest storyline heading to these Christmas Day games today?
Man, there's a lot of storylines. Of course, we want to see how Steph kind of bounces back. Coming off the loss against the Nets, taking on the reigning MVP and Giannis. But I think the biggest one, really, everybody wants to see, LeBron and Luka. You got Dallas taking on the Lakers. You want to see LeBron and Luka. Luka's almost he's pretty much he's another version of LeBron, just that big point forward who can get everybody involved, gets assists, gets to the rack and finishes. We're gonna see the old school versus the new school. The guy who's been holding it down the last 15 years, and the person who everybody's expected to take the reins from him when he retires.
Yeah, big time. And that's another one where you look at it from almost like the changing of the guard matchup, where you got like LeBron who was in his 18th year, and Luka, which like you said, can probably carry the torch. We look at other guys, but we know pretty much without a shadow of a doubt, it's probably gonna be Luka. Minus
Right.
everything, crazy, but yeah.
And,
And
LeBron gonna take that personal. This is a season where he's gonna pick and choose his rest, and I think this is gonna be the game where he says, "All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take it up a notch. I'm gonna show the young blood what's up."
yeah, like what Jordan said in the Last Dance, I took that personal, and
For sure, for sure.
so he's definitely gonna use that as a motivational tool, and definitely. Another one I thought that's really interesting as well, like Kyrie going back to Boston. So this is actually the official, because last year he was hurt in those two matchups. So
Right.
Kyrie goes back to Boston. Is he gonna bring out the Sage again?
Hey, he might as well. Hey, it's working. It's working. And if they let Kyrie bring out the Sage, why not? Go ahead and get all them spirits out. You know what I'm saying? Bring all that good energy and watch Kyrie go crazy.
Right, and that's another one I think that's going to be a really interesting matchup as well. So, yeah, the change in the guard and also Kyrie. And the thing about it's just such a bevy of games, which is like they all kind of have their own storyline within itself. So yeah, it's
Right,
going to
right.
be definitely different types of styles in each of these matchups. It's going to be a
There's a lot
great
of good
couple of
games. A lot of
yeah.
good games. Starting from 11 o'clock in the morning. We got the early game. I think it's the Pelicans and the Heat. That should be a
Yeah.
fun one. Like you said, it's just sit back, get you some good food, get in front of your TV, and just watch NBA because it's gonna be a bunch of good games all day.
I know, because we could be like, forget the Vikings and the Saints at 4 o'clock tomorrow tonight. Don't worry about that. That has no implications at this point. So just watch it. But yeah. So in these matchups, what do you see as the best matchup as far as the teams out of this quintuple header?
The best matchup, I think, is going to be the Clippers and the Nuggets. I'm really interested to see that one. Of course, we know how the season ended last year for the Clippers, blowing a 3-1 lead. We saw what they did the other night against the Lakers. PG came out ready, dropped 33. Blacked out, went crazy. Kawhi did his thing as well, and I'm big on the Nuggets this year. I think they bring back their core. They're another year older, another year wiser. Took their lumps, losing to the Lakers last year in the conference finals. I think they got a Christmas Day matchup. I think they're gonna come out ready to play and go hard.
Yeah. And that's going to be definitely a good matchup as well. And that's one thing too, where, and I think this is going to be a kind of a proven year for Denver as well, where you look at it from, because everybody said, well, they wouldn't have went to Staples and would have won Game 7, just due to the fact, the whole bubble dilemma. Everybody kept on saying, well, hey, if they weren't in a bubble, they wouldn't have been, going to Game 7 against going to Utah and then going to
Mm-hmm.
Staples in those rounds. So that's definitely gonna be interesting, like you said. And Denver's scary good. Like the depth is scary. Like as far as, and you got to think about it. They didn't have
They,
Will Barton, Gary Harris last year with in the
right,
bubble,
right.
and you're like, this is scary. Then you
They
also got the
they
emergence
are
of
a team. They are legit 12 deep. Most coaches play like a 10-man rotation in the regular season, and it becomes like an eight or seven in the postseason. They can legit go 12 deep, whether it's regular season or postseason. It's just whatever Mike Malone wants to do. The choice is his.
right. And then like I look at guys like PJ Dozier. I think he's gonna kind of emerge a little bit too.
Hmm.
And then a sneaky pick in RJ Hampton, which I'm like, and that's another guy I'm like, I'm intrigued. And I'm
Yeah,
like, he
yeah.
has a lot of intriguing guys. The RJ Hampton New Zealand situation and all
He,
that, and how he was told it to.
yeah, man. He's an explosive guard. He oozes potential. You know what I'm saying? When you watch his film, you be like, man, he's got that Russell Westbrook kind of speed in the open court. You know what I'm saying? And he's somebody that he might not get minutes like that.
No, and that's what's frightening. Like, and just imagine what he can do in the bite size of minutes that he potentially can get. So that's another thing where Denver is almost like it's an embarrassment of riches for like as far as young talent. Like it can get scary. I mean,
They've done a great job. Got to give a shout out to their front office because they have players who got them in position to compete and win right now. They could come out the West this year, and they also have guys like Bo, R.J. Hampton, Michael Porter Jr. That it's not just about now. They can keep this going for the next 5, 6, 7 years.
Correct. Yes. And I forgot to mention Bobo, the NBA Twitter's favorite, third best player in NBA.
Everybody wants to see, but the Nuggets. Do us a favor for Christmas. We just want to see Bol play. Just put Bol on the court.
Facts, because we need some like NBA Twitter friction, but some algorithm in the air for some Bobo. Night. We need that big time.
But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and what's a kind of an interesting matchup is the first one. I think New Orleans and Miami. There, and
Hmm.
it's a weird way. Like now, I want to kind of see. It's somewhat kind of low key revenge game. Stan Van Gundy. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
Stan Van Gundy goes back to Miami.
That's another storyline. Yeah, that's another game that I was looking at too. You
Yeah,
got Zion. He's finally off the minutes restriction. I think. We gonna see Zion for real. And we seen what he's been doing in the preseason. He had a good preseason. Had some games where he went off. So.
yeah. He slimmed down
Hmm.
for the So I'm like,
He lost maybe about 10 pounds or so. And any for him just losing a little bit of weight, that's good. Anything to
yeah.
salvage them knees. We need them knees right.
Yes, especially at the tender age of 20 years old, you need those things. At this point, 'cause that's gonna be your career at this point.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I like this dynamic. And I was kind of like bullish about Stan Van Gundy going to the Pelicans, but now to me, I'm like, okay, it makes sense because like that team has been in a weird way they've kind of underachieved, even though they're barely,
Hmm.
this collection has only been around for a year, so it's kind of hard to
Hmm.
kind of say that. But bringing a guy like him, and I think he's going to definitely get the best out of Zion, and then also you look at like Brandon Ingram, those guys, and Lonzo Ball. You got a nice little nucleus. And
Yeah.
then,
They got the talent there, to be great on offense, and it makes sense why they brought in Stan because they're trying to defend. They want to be an all around team, so we know they can get up and down the floor, and Stan's gonna make sure they play defense. So you put that together, they have a chance to be dangerous.
And then coupled with a team that really is their calling card defense is the Miami Heat. So you look at that too, where you're looking at
Yeah.
where it may not be the sexy game per se. This but if
Hmm.
you're gonna see, it's gonna be like defensive basketball. You're gonna see different variations. It's not gonna be the like I won't just say necessarily the high scoring game, but it's gonna be an efficient game. I'll put it that way.
Definitely, definitely. And, we're going to get into it, but that was my sleeper matchup, the Heat and the
Oh,
Pelicans.
good.
Because the contrast in styles a little bit. We know what the Heat have with Jimmy Butler and Bam. They're going to play defense like you mentioned, but you also have with New Orleans. I want to see how Zion really matches up against a Bam. He's been able to do his thing in his preseason, but we're talking about an All NBA defender and Bam Adebayo. I think that would be a very fun matchup to see. You want to see Brandon Ingram and Jimmy Butler go at it. Both of those guys, they gonna do it their thing. It's gonna be a fun game.
I definitely think that is as well. And another one I was going to say, yeah, the Pelicans he did also like low key Boston in Brooklyn. I think that's going to be somewhat of an interesting matchup, just as far as because even though and I don't want to bring this up, obviously I don't want to address the elephant in the room with the Dubs taking an L last night.
Yeah.
Well, not last night, Tuesday night. But yeah, taking that L, and then kind of seeing what they go against. Kind of, I wouldn't say their competition per se, but like as far as the Eastern Conference foe of how even though Kim was not in not there, but as far as that concerned, but just on this week see how they play against someone in their competition. Well, we kind of have them kind of both kind of in that 3-4-2-3, like 2-3, 2 through 4 kind of sequence per se, as far as like playoff standings or just standings in general in the Eastern Conference. So it's kind of like almost like someone on their level that we think at this point preseason wise, but.
No, that's definitely gonna be a fun one. Of course, no, I'm really ready to see KD go up against Tatum. Tatum is a guy that coming into the season, I feel like he's an MVP dark horse. Like you mentioned, Kimba, he's not going to be playing for a minute. So Jason Tatum, he took his game up to another level last season. Now with Kimba's absence, Gordon Hayward gone in Charlotte, we want to see Tatum take his game up another level. And if he does that, he could be right there in the running for the MVP. So that's going to be fun. And KD, he's already looking like he's in MVP form. He doesn't look like he lost a step at all. That's crazy coming off an Achilles injury.
Oh, he looked great. He looked great on Tuesday.
He looked good. He looked good. And I'm somebody myself. I tore my Achilles. I tore my Achilles hooping. And I've been fortunate to still be pretty much myself. But it's a tough recovery. So it's just a shout out to KD and just how hard he went during the off season to get himself back right.
Yeah, yeah, big time. And then, like I said, Jason Tatum, 6'10", like
6'10", he's still growing. And
he's
look, and he's only 19. And that's the joke on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Everybody be like, he's only 19. But look, for real though, he's only what, 21?
Yeah, like he may be like 22. Yeah,
22?
because you think about it, because Brandon Ingram was only like 23, and he was a year after him. I mean, a year
So
after
yeah.
him. So
He might be. I think he's 22 then. He might be 21, 22. I'll give him 22, but
frightening.
22 already been to the Eastern Conference Finals. Already, is made All NBA team. Made All NBA last year. 22 years old. The sky's the limit, man. It's crazy. He's only gonna keep getting better.
And he grew 2 inches over the summer.
Hey, he's grown into being KD almost. You know what I'm saying? Because KD is 7 feet doing all this.
Right. And this is like, when I heard that, I was like, no pun intended, but my goodness, cancel Christmas, like literally. Are you like 6'10"? I was like, that's crazy, like, and to still be growing, that is so frightening. Like, that's crazy. Like,
it is crazy, man. With the handle he has, the counters, the sidestep jumpers, what I'm saying, he's just a savage. You know what I'm saying? But that's what we do with Duke. You know what I'm saying? That's a Duke product. You feel what I'm saying? That's what we do with Duke. That's what we, you know what I'm saying? That's what we produce. You see Kyrie, Tatum, you know what I'm saying? Guys like that.
Yeah.
You know I had to throw that in there. You know I had to.
It's all good. Hey, man, those kids down the street, they been balling. I ain't gonna front. Them kids down the street, you know, the flat earth kid, and then
We'll see if Carolina can get it together. Y'all got Cole out here now. He's trying to hold it down.
yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing him how he's going, playing Orlando. I think that's another one where I think that's going. He's in a good spot. I think definitely now with DJ Augustine gone, him and kind of Markel Fultz are kind of probably going to kind of battle for that position. But hey,
I think him and Foles can be on the floor together. I mean, we know Foles. He's working on his jumper, but he's definitely the guy that's going to attack and create for others. And Cole, you know this just as well as anybody else. He's just a natural born scorer. He can go get a bucket. So Foles has size as well, can guard it too. So those guys, they can make something work together. But yeah, Cole, he's in a good spot for sure because they need that outside shooting.
Yep, and then it's still like, and it's a playoff team. It's a playoff caliber team. I put it this way. I'm not sure as far as now when you lose a guy like a Jonathan Isaac, that changes things. For the most part. But yeah, so I definitely like when as far as him slipping that, because my biggest fear was in this time last year was like, oh, he's gonna go to a bad team and kind of, because you always I wouldn't say I was, well, I'll put it this way, I just didn't want him to go to Sacramento. I'm sorry, Tyrese Halliburton, but I'm just saying I didn't want him to go to Sacramento because I look at Sacramento as an NBA graveyard.
Man, it's tough out there in Sacktown. It's tough.
I like De'Aaron. I even like Marvin Bagley, all those guys, but Sacramento's a graveyard.
Yeah, man. Bags can't stay healthy. We've seen a lot of careers go down the drain in Sacramento. Hopefully they can get it together.
I know, and that's another thing.
They got some talent. They got some good young talent, man. It's time for them to make that next step.
Yeah, and especially and what's weird, because especially because they were the ninth seed going into the bubble, and you would think to yourself, okay, well, any off-season moves to kind of get it, having some type of moves to kind of help you elevate, because everybody else in the West elevated, which in a weird way, even before the moves are made, we can say like 15 teams can make the
right.
At one point, but but yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how he's going to do in Orlando. But that was really nice. I thought about what if he lands in Sacramento.
Yeah. I mean, because like as a North Carolina fan, you're a North Carolina fan, so you know the type of offense y'all run. Y'all gonna run two guys in the post. So every time he drove, he was driving in to help. So I think he was really underrated coming out, and he's gonna turn some heads. He's gonna show people what's up.
Yeah, and like you said, and the thing with it, and the beauty of it too, where I think that's one thing too, where even though last year was a struggling season and was kind of enamored with injuries, he fell to the right spot, and that's why it's because my conventional wisdom used to be like, well, you just get to the league. No, it ain't about just getting to the league. You need to be in the right spot.
It is, bro. It's a science to all this. There's guys who could have become great players. They just went to that wrong team, and we see it now, man. We see guys bounce around the league. Victor Oladipo finally got, he was with the Magic, did well, was at OKC, wasn't looking like he was going to be that guy, and they finally got to Indiana and he broke out. So guys, it's a thing, man. You just got to get to the right team and finally be able to show your talents.
Right, and that's what it's like, and like I said, like, and it's weird, like, because I figure like it's like, and it's a lot of guys that are like that, and then what's frightening about it all, like, case in point, kind of bouncing back from UNC to Durham comparison, like Brandon Ingram, man, like guy who because it's funny because and it's so weird like how we look at these guys who are like 21, 22 years old. We call these guys busts. I'm like,
These
dude,
guys,
you'll be
they be 18, 19. You know what I'm saying?
a
19 years old, and we're critiquing them, super hard, expecting them to be the next star just as soon as they get to the league, and that ain't happening. Especially if you go to the Lakers, that's
right, or
rare.
you go right, and that's a thing too, where because and I think and that's another thing too with the mystique with the Lakers, is everybody was like, because you think about it, because essentially he's essentially the post Kobe draft, essentially, where so they looked at
Hmm.
well if you're the second overall pick, then you got to be this and the third and what have you, but it takes time. Like you can't expect a 19-year-old kid, and I think that's what happens, and that's like you saying, organization. Because you look at it, and it might be the expectation was like that because you got a guy like a Kobe who was 18 years old out of high school, even though he didn't make an immediate impact. It took him time to
It
develop
took
as
him
well.
time, and Kobe's different. We
Right,
just straight up, Kobe's different.
right, extremely different. Like, right, compared to Frank Ingram, but that's the expectation there, where and that's what like you saying, and it's crazy because even what 2 3 years in at 21 years old, we wanted to say, hey, he's a bust. Like,
Bro, this guy, he just was finally able to buy a drink. You know what I'm saying? We already calling him a bust.
and then you got to think about it too, and then there was no stability there for him at that particular time. And that's what I think
Hmm.
people fail to realize too, where okay, you have to be surrounded by certain things in certain situations. Like, and I think Charles Barkley says the point. So he says it great, where these guys every team need to have a veteran on their team, because
Yeah.
like that team, you think about it, he was like, well, everybody was young. I mean, okay,
I'm trying to
maybe
think who would have been this they vet back then.
OG would have been Nick Young.
Oh boy, no, we don't need him being the vet.
Right, correct. And Lou Will, even though Lou Will's my guy, but Lou Will being an OG, and because I think he may have been only what like 20 something then in his 20s at that
Right,
time.
right.
And
It's
then he got
just,
traded season, yeah.
but yeah, man, it's just some organizations. It seems like, and the Lakers is one where you. That's just not an organization where you need to be a young guy with a bunch of expectations, and you don't need to go there. You need to go somewhere else. The La La Land is all about the superstars and stuff, and we seen D'Angelo Russell. He got up out of L.A., went to Brooklyn, a rebuilding situation, and had an All Star season. He finally got to blossom and break out, and got away from all that expectation there, and really kind of developed into his own. And same thing with Bi. We've seen Lonzo continue to develop with the Pelicans. It's tough to be a young buck going out there in LA, top five pick.
Yeah. And like and that was the pressure. And then, and that time they didn't have stability. So it was, it was a recipe for disaster. And, you have to when we talk about guys getting drafted, they gotta go to the right situation. Because, that's what it ultimately boils down to. Because you don't want to be that guy that's people want to write you off at 21 years old. I'm like,
You're
I
right,
was like,
right.
I was in college. I was like a junior in college. Like, and how about
I'm finally able to go to all the bars and stuff, and y'all calling me a bust. Like, come on now.
I would be the National College Player of the Year. I'm like,
Yeah.
I would be a bust. Like, that's a trip, man. But yeah, man, that's how it is. But you definitely got to go in the right place, right situation.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, man. So the sleeper matchup, even though you alluded to it earlier, we can kind of go back into the sleeper
Yeah, we can.
matchup.
The sleeper matchup, of course, we have the Heat and the Pelicans, but just another matchup too that we can. Well, I'll slide this one in there as a sleeper matchup. I'll say is the Bucks and the Warriors. Bucks and the Warriors. I know we saw the Warriors. We got throttled. I'm a Warriors fan. We got throttled by Brooklyn, man. That wasn't nothing nice. We got worked out. It was so bad. After we got worked out, I had to go work out. I had to go lift some weights. I had to get that stress up off me, man. We got did dirty. But everybody wants to see what Steph's going to do. And so, can the Warriors bounce back? And I think Steph is going to have a big game. We'll see if he can get some help.
Yeah, yeah, that's another matchup I'm looking forward to as far as and it's on the kind of on the inverse. Where I'm looking at the chemistry of the Bucks, especially like getting guys like Drew Holiday, how that's
Mm-hmm.
going to kind of implement that, and just seeing
Yeah.
how the quote unquote the trio, because I guess because once upon a
They're big
time,
three. Yeah.
once upon a time in the pandemic, Bleacher Report had Chris Middleton as eighth best player in the league, which
Ooh,
like okay.
that's high. I ain't gonna lie. He had to me last season. He had a top 15 player season. His season was great. I ain't gonna say he's a top 15 player, but he balled out last year.
Well, Bleacher Report had him as
Hey,
eighth, and we all were like befuddled.
yeah, man. Bleacher Report. They be living dangerously. They try to be ahead of the
Oh,
curve sometimes.
correct. Like that was great entertainment during the suspension of the league, and as far as having that concern. But yeah, that was interesting. But I definitely want to see how they mold. And I kind of want to see the guys like the guys who were subsequently traded, kind of how they would kind of come back into fray, like you guys like Dante DiVincenzo, the MOP,
Mm-hmm.
once upon a
Mm-hmm.
time, MOP, and once upon a time. Those type of guys kind of seeing how they kind of come back into the situation where you went from okay, well we got you
Yeah.
getting traded,
They
then
either, they either gonna barbecue or mildew, man. You already know your name was out there. You know what I'm saying? You were technically traded. So are you gonna take it personal? Are you gonna come out here and ball out, or are you gonna let that get to you and get in your head and you not live up? You know what I'm saying? And show what you can really do and make them regret trading you.
right. He said it was barbecue chicken or mildew. Well,
Barbecue or mildew. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is.
barbecue or
Barbecue or
mildew.
mildew.
Okay. Yeah, and that's going to be a definitely interesting matchup. And then I also on the Warriors end, I just want to see the Warriors once again and see because it's Draymond is he going to play tonight?
I think Draymond is not playing. I think they're
Okay,
expecting
okay.
him to return the following game. Yeah,
Fine, okay. And that's going to be another one. And even I kind of want to see a little bit more of James Wiseman, even though
I do
as far
too.
as
I do too.
he intrigues me. I think he's going to be one, and I like him going forward. Like I think he's going to be the face of the Warriors down the line. Once Steph,
It's looking
you
like
know,
he of course we
yeah,
saw the natural athleticism. He was getting
I
to the
know,
rack.
yeah,
He's bouncy, excuse me, and then he was showing case to Jay. Knocked down some jumpers. I said, hold on now, okay, this we got a nice little lefty
yeah.
stroke. Yeah, so Wiseman, he looked good.
And I think that's one thing too. I think I like how he's going to be able to kind of help Steph stretch the floor because my biggest concern going into the season was they were just going to collapse on him and like almost not in a football term, but kind of they were going to blitz him
Yeah,
when
yeah.
there was because you don't have you know
That's what the
I,
Raptors did
right
after Clay
right
got hurt. Yeah.
the Bucks for one essentially. And even though like you said, because it's one of the things where it's like there's a question mark between guys like Kelly Oubre and Wiggins, Andrew Wiggins.
Hmm.
So that's why part of me that was the biggest question mark. But then you look at like Wiseman, where he can kind of help that as well. So it's going to be interesting. I still think they're still going to be a playoff team, as I predicted. But I just want to see the improvement because you're always going to have a kind of you're going to have a bad game, but how can you respond after having a terrible loss like that? Because normally teams do respond after a loss like that. I don't think it's
Hmm.
going to be the same. As far as
No, I don't think it's gonna be that same type of loss. I'm picking them to lose, but I think it's gonna be a competitive game. We'll see if Wiggins can really bounce back. Wiggins struggled, man. He had a lot of just careless, little clumsy mistakes. And what this is fifth year, sixth year in the league. He's been in the league for a minute now. You, you don't want to see those mistakes. You trade away. Albeit, I know D'Angelo Russell isn't the greatest player in the league, but he still, was a former All Star, still a good guard. You were the centerpiece of that trade. So show us why you were worth bringing in.
Yeah, because and the funny thing about it was, and going into the trade, I was like, he's and part my bias, but he's a poor man's Harrison Barnes. And
Yeah,
I mean, so I was like, well, that would suffice at that time when we thought Clay was in the fold as well, because you really that's all you really need, a guy almost kind of how Harrison Barnes was minus the 2016 NBA Finals. I think
hmm
even that my nephew struggled mightily in that one. I think
man, he
I
couldn't
can think
buy
of
it.
the
He
highest
couldn't buy a shot in the finals.
to save his life. But yeah, man, it's definitely the poor man's Harrison Barnes, Andrew Wiggins.
Uh, but yeah, man, we'll see. We'll see how they bounce back though. Shoot, Kelly Oubre's got something to prove too. Kelly, he flashed a little bit. He gave KD a body.
Right. And then that's another, and it's funny, like the prevailing theme, and like he's another one where like he really has been just a, and it's so crazy to think he's so young. Like how essentially it was because he was with the Wizards, then he was with Phoenix, now he's with
hmm
Golden State. It's like
And before
and
then
Kelly
with
Oubre,
Washington, right?
was right, and you got to think to yourself, Kelly Oubre couldn't be no more than about 23, 24 years old because he was a one and done in Kansas.
hmm hmm
And then
He's
another
already been
thing,
bouncing around the league.
right? And that's what's and this is when my I don't have that conventional wisdom. I just get to the league. No, you don't want to get to the league because you don't want to be a guy like him in essence. You do want to. You want to be in the NBA, but you want to be in a comfortable situation, as we mentioned earlier. But like you said, Kelly Oubre, it seems like he has to prove himself everywhere he goes to a point where, because like we, and then
It's,
and like
it's tough, man, because he looked good in Phoenix. He was really coming into his own and seemed like ready to take that next step before he had his injury that ended the season last year.
yes, and then it didn't help with Mikal Bridges, and then also
They have you got your
Cameron
boy Cam
Johnson.
Johnson.
And that's what, and then that was like all she wrote because I was like, because they can get rid of him, for for that because they essentially found the replacement in those two guys, and that's another thing too where you just it's like you say he had something to prove, and then and this was going to be scary about that because once Clay come back, we're hoping we want to say 2022 potentially
Yeah, yeah.
you would go an assumption maybe around the 2022,
hmm
2022. And then you who say Kelly Oubre is will he be a fit when you don't when Clay comes back? And
And
that's
then
another there.
will Draymond still have some juice in the tank? You know what I'm saying? Is he still going to be able to channel back into 2016 Draymond where he was really active and just showcases how good of a player he is, how great of a player he is? Will he still have that in him in year 2021-22 in that season?
Yeah, I mean he went from essentially kicking King James and the family jewels. He was going to be the Finals MVP essentially.
But hey, low key was a Finals MVP for for Cleveland.
Yeah, right. And if they would have won that series up at that point, because remember that was what 3-1. Draymond was
Oh,
balling.
don't trust me. I remember. I know that series very well.
And I kept on saying like, why would you do that? Like, you're on the verge of winning this championship, and you might be the Finals MVP. You've been the only one essentially at that time that was consistent.
He almost messed around. I ain't gonna lie. If Golden State, if we win Game 7, I
Yeah.
think you gotta give it to Draymond. Draymond had 30. I think he had 32 that game. He was crushing all his threes. He balled out. He showed up.
And what killed me, because I knew for certain, even though it's funny to say that now 4 years later, but I'm telling you, when that Andrew Bogut got hurt, everybody was, I knew, like, that's when I knew I was like, the wind has changed. Like, this
We
is
we
this is
they
something
turned
else.
into the Clippers last year's Clippers when Bogut got hurt. The Clippers didn't have any rim protection. Zero. Just everybody got to the rack freely. That's what happened. There was nobody to protect the rim. Ezeli couldn't do it. He wasn't at the rim to protect it because they already drove by him at the 3-point line off the switch.
Right. And funny, now to go back, because we talking about the Lakers and the OGs, we gotta remember Timothy Moskov was one of his OGs. Remember he got that $64 million deal with the Lakers?
Yes.
So, that was his OG.
There you go, man. Moskov and Luol Deng. That would have been BI's OG.
Boy. Yeah, big time. Especially Duke to Duke connection. But, so let's go into individual matchups. So, what is the individual matchup that you're looking forward to on today's slate of games?
Man, the individual matchup I'm looking forward to, you already know it. It's KD and Jason Tatum. Yeah. It's KD and Tatum. I mentioned LeBron and Luka earlier. That's an easy one to go with, but I'm going KD and Tatum. KD has a chance. The narrative is already out there to be MVP. He's missed the season, coming back from the Achilles. He's still looking like Kevin Durant. He's still looking like easy money sniper. And now he's going up against Jason Tatum, the one up next. You know what I'm saying? They about the same height now since Tatum grew a couple inches. He's 6'10". Is KD listed at 6'10"? I don't know what KD is listed as. It's me. He's 7 feet out there. But those two going at it, that's going to be nice.
Yeah, that's going to be definitely an interesting matchup. What I think is going to be a good one, even though, and you kind of talked about it, you alluded to it earlier, Zion versus Bam.
Bam. Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like where the contrast of styles, where you look at like Zion is kind of like this, they both are like freakish at their position, which is kind of it's going to be a definitely interesting contrast. And I think even also a matchup also in that game as well, Jimmy Butler versus Brandon Ingram, where we look at how essentially, how we look at Jimmy as a guy who, at first his calling card was perimeter defender. Now he's became a scorer as well. So you look at that, and then as far as his antics and just him, as far as guarding, even he guarded the Michael Jordan of the bubble, T.J. Warren.
Bubble Warren, baby, top 5 all time.
Top 5 all time. 98. So you look at that type of situation, then you look at this with Brandon Ingram and what he just brings to the table. Like, I wonder how, as far as will he be able to kind of, do his thing with defending them. So I definitely like those two matches in themselves, but definitely they're going to be kind of fun matchup to watch. Like you said, but the whole, like you said, KD
and Tatum.
Ooh.
That's going to be lit. I think Tatum's going to try to go at it. You know what I'm saying? These are two all stars. These are two all perennial. KD was a perennial all NBA guy, and Tatum just made all NBA. So he's not going to come in the game like, oh my gosh, I'm playing KD. No, we're equals. You know what I'm saying? We're mutuals now. We're on the same level, so it should be fun.
He's not that little kid taking pictures with NBA players no more. He ain't that little kid. No more.
None of that. Matter of fact, you want my autograph. Was that off of Light Mike when Dirk?
Yeah.
Dirk got Calvin Cambridge autograph. Matter of fact, you want my autograph now. You know what I'm saying? This is how it's going to be.
Speaking of that, bro, remember that meme when they put the Calvin and then his friend, the homeboy with the glasses, and they got like that was Kawhi Nick Nurse.
Bro, Twitter's undefeated, man. Twitter's undefeated.
And I said, y'all gotta. And that, man, I was tripping so hard off of that. Like,
how folks be coming up with this stuff, bro? There's some funny people in this world.
Right, and it's accurate too. That's wild. Like, with the cornrows and everything. Like, But yeah, man. So definitely, yeah. That's that's what, like you talked about. That is far, but that is definitely gonna be some good matchups, man. Man, but definitely KD and Tatum, like you said,
Mm-hmm. A sneaky
right? That's
one.
what.
A sneaky one
Mhm.
is also going to be, of course, in that Pelicans Heat game. I'm pretty sure Bledsoe's going to end up checking Tyler Hero at some point. That Kentucky connection. And Bledsoe, he's a
Yeah,
dog on defense. All NBA defensive guy, and we know how Hero gets down. What I'm saying, he gets cooking. He's going to
yeah,
let you know. So those two guys, that's going to be a fun matchup.
yeah. AKA the untouchable, because they like, shoot, we ain't giving them up for no James Harden. He's untouchable. I'm like, okay.
Right, right. So yeah,
I'm like,
and Tyler, man, he got that swagger. He got that swagger.
yo.
So it's gonna be nice seeing him and Bledsoe go at it.
Yeah, he's a dog, and that's another thing when we talk, and we're gonna harp in this point to New Year's, essentially to next Christmas, essentially, because he went to a team that are dogs just like him, like because Tyler Hero was another one that people fail to realize he's a part of the class 2018 as well. Like people keep on forgetting, because we were all enamored by Zion. I mean, that's hitting on there. We know that Zion was a cream de la creme in that
Right, right.
2018. I mean, you know, trust me,
Hmm.
when I found out he was
And
going
we
to
knew
Duke,
John Morant was right there next to him. Right.
and that's another thing too, where we look at that class and we're like, well, and no one really talked about Tyler Hero in that, and as far as that graduating class 2018, he was kind of like a sleeper. And it's funny because even Zion was like talking about him even when they were in high school. He was like, "Yo, Tyler's gonna be legit."
Right. I was watching his Ball is Life. All the ball. I'm big on the Ball is Life mixtapes and all that stuff. I'll be trying to keep up with the guys in high school. Man, Hero was a dog in high school. Like if you really been keeping up with Tyler Hero, he ran the Midwest. He ran Wisconsin. He was getting buckets, dropping off everybody in that state. So it's no surprise to me that he's doing this in the league.
Yeah, and he went to the right spot where he went. When we look at just from the organization on down, you got like a guy like Pat Riley, who in a bizarre, odd way, even at the tender age of it in his 70s, he still got something to prove in
Oh
a
yeah.
weird, in odd, bizarre way.
No, that's a great point, man. Because he has that dog mentality, and you see how
Mhm.
Jimmy Butler, how close they are. They've done interviews together, and him, Bam, Jimmy, they have this a natural connection. Jimmy knows what's up. He
Yeah,
respects Tyler. He sees that dog in him, and he
right.
feels a need for the Heat as well with that outside perimeter shooting. You can never have too many shooters, and so especially with the type of style JB and Bam plays, Hero's the perfect fit.
Right. And all those guys, and they're all alike to me, are guys who essentially, not forgetting, but they were kind of they were sleepers. Like, I mean, when we look at this from the standpoint,
That's
like
a good
Bam
point.
also was number one, and that's what I kept on saying during the bubble. I was like, they all fit the same personality. Like the thing that really threw me was when Chris Paul, the bully.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. I said I was gonna be nice this year with Chris Paul, but I just using a subtle word. I have different types of syllables different types of jargon to describe Chris Paul, but ACC hate. But anyway, but like when he got in Duncan Robinson face, and Jimmy was like, "Look, that's my guy. You're not going to just bully us around. Like
Hmm.
we ain't like everybody else. We ain't Julius Hodge. We ain't
Yeah.
all these other people
Yeah.
who kind of terrorizing all these boys.
You even hit me down there and get away with it. Right.
Correct on senior night of all times. Anyway, but yeah, and I was like, that's what you need. You need a guy like a Jimmy who's a leader, like. And that's the thing. What separated him between his time in Minnesota and his time in here in Miami. He got dogs. He
He's
got
got he got young bulls that he can go to war
yeah,
with. He
right,
tried to bring that out of those guys in Minnesota, and saying it didn't
right,
work out.
right,
But I bet if Jimmy has if they go to practice and he say, hey, and you, we going up against them, Tyler Hero's gonna be like, what's up? Let's go. And that's what he
Right.
wants.
They down the ride, and that's why it works so great with them, and that's what pretty much catapulted them to make to the NBA Finals this year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Definitely, definitely.
so player likely to have a breakout game.
All right, all right. I've been thinking about this one. I'm gonna go Michael Porter Jr. I'm gonna go
Ooh,
MPJ. It's easy to go. I'm trying to steer away from the stars, guys who are talented,
mhm,
who could have a star like game. So of course, we just mentioned Tyler Hero. He's someone who can have a big game, but he's going to be going up against Bledsoe. That's going to be tough. Either way, it's going to be tough for whoever either one of these guys. But I think MPJ, he has the talent, he has the ability. This is somebody who talked about he's the number one player in the country coming out of high school. He
right.
was that guy. The only question was his health. He's healthy now. He showed what he could do last year in the bubble. I think he can take that same take that next step and have a big game here on the big stage against the Clippers. It's going to be a fun matchup.
Yeah, and it was weird, and I look at and it's weird. I have almost like a combination. It could be almost like a three-way kind of situation.
Okay, okay.
The situation in Brooklyn, I can
Mm.
see either Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, or Joe Harris having a pretty good game in a weird way. It's having a feeling, a
I would
premonition. I
say
think it's
didn't Karras have did he have 20? He had 18 or 20 against Golden State. He had a nice game in
yeah,
his own right. Yeah.
right. And that's another thing too, and that's what makes Brooklyn scary.
Yeah.
Those core three guys, and that's why a part of me, I wouldn't try to trade to get James Harden. I would just keep these guys
You
in
want to ride
place.
this out. See what
I would
yeah.
ride it out because the thing is, if you bring in a guy like a James Harden, he's another one that demands the ball.
Hmm.
Come on with a guy like a Kyrie and KD. And I think at the end of the day, the ball just need to go to KD, and then everybody else just they get their own. They get the scraps, and they'll perform well even in those scraps that Kevin Durant can give them. I know
Hmm.
it sounds
No, no,
crazy, but
it's
yeah,
a great point though, man, because the thing I had concerns about Brooklyn coming into the season. Like, are the
mhm,
guys, can Kyrie stay healthy? Will the rest of these players like Dinwiddie and Karras, will they buy into their roles? Will it be a smooth transition? And it looks like everybody's bought into their role. Like they're having fun. It looks like you know what I'm saying. There's no animosity. Karras is like, I'm gonna be that guy off the bench and I'm gonna get buckets. Spencer's like, I'm gonna work off of Kyrie and KD. Like, Joe, I'm gonna knock down open threes. You leave me open, I'm gonna knock it down. Like, they really looking like a good team, and that goes to your point.
right. And I exercise a lot in hyperbole, but a part of me, like, that's when you look at it, that's really scary. That's almost like contending with the Lakers type of situation where you have those kind of three guys in the fold, because ultimately it's the depth. We look at because really now it's weird how the league is now, where we're looking at now everything's now really trio based, not duo based pretty much. When you look at like
Hmm.
Kevin Durant, Kyrie, LeBron, AD, you
Hmm.
know, those type of kind of duos, and you're like, then you got to have that depth. And I look at those guys who actually had significant roles without, KD and Kyrie. Now they, like I said, can be a little bit more relaxed, and the burden really isn't on them. Where when we look at Spencer Dinwiddie, because we looked at him as like, well, he's a fringe All Star last year, and
Right.
now
Right.
can he kind of like I said, can he kind of take it back where as far as just being that, well, really, third, fourth fiddle of this team potentially. Well, maybe third, maybe it depends.
Hmm.
But and that's the thing where you look at that where can he kind of act with can he get it to that? Which at this point, what we see now in the small sample size, they're handling their roles pretty well. So, like you said, it's going to be interesting
Yeah.
though. But I say keep those guys. I don't think you want to bring James Harden in.
I I can understand why you're saying that. I really can. Like after seeing before, if I we were talking about this before, seeing them play a regular season game, I'd be like,
Mhm.
man, I mean, if you can
Right.
bring in another MVP type player, why not? You know what I'm saying? The more the merrier. But they really seem like they have a good fit going on. So I definitely see why you say that.
And I think they have a team. If we look at it, and we're just looking at it from a match up standpoint, when we're looking just from the, they're really the only team I think in the East, well, besides like Milwaukee, potentially Boston, that could compete with the Lakers. Because I
Hmm.
mean, it's really
Hmm.
it's really Lakers versus the field at this point. I
Hmm.
mean, if we
Yeah,
don't
in
be
a sense,
serious,
in a
yeah.
sense, I'm kind of big on the Nuggets.
Mhm. Oh yeah, we got 12 deep. We talked about the Nuggets as well, but
I'm big
yeah,
on the Nuggets just because
yeah.
I see a little bit of my 2015 Golden State in them in the sense of they took their Golden State in 2013, you lose to the Spurs. 2014, you go Game 7, lose to the Clippers. We've seen the Nuggets. They made playoff runs the last couple years, made it to the West Finals last year. It's something about I really like about teams that grow together and really see, take their lumps as a core. And so I'm really curious to see how they went to this all season and if they can make that next leap this year. So I'm big on the Nuggets.
Yeah, and right, and like you said, and they're gonna take definitely leaps and bounds, definitely with Michael Porter Jr. we talked about earlier. But yeah, man, that's gonna be
Hmm.
definitely interesting. So, bold predictions for tonight. Just any bold predictions.
Bold prediction. Alrighty. I'm gonna say Zion goes for 30
Ooh.
again, and that's despite being checked probably for the most of the game by Bam. I still think he finds a way to go for 30. So that's my bold prediction. I
I
wanted to
got
say Golden
yeah.
State beats Milwaukee, but I don't see it happening. I don't think it's gonna happen. But I can still see a world where Zion goes off.
Nice. So I got two of them. So I got first. I got Luca scores 40 points and defeats the Lakers.
Mm, okay,
I
okay,
can
I
see
like
Luca.
that. I like
I can see
that.
Luca putting on 40. And even though this is probably the most, this is kind of like a lukewarm prediction, which I say KD and Kyrie combined 55 points versus Celtics. I
Hmm.
say I say KD gonna have a healthy about 35. And then Kyrie
Do
have
you
10.
think do you think KD scores more than Tatum?
Ooh, I think so. I think it's gonna be kind of neck and neck. I can
Hmm.
see KD having 35, and I can see Tatum having 30.
I can see that too. And I can see KD. I can see KD having a more efficient game. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Hmm.
going to be a little easier for KD, and KD already makes it look easy, no matter what
I
circumstance.
know.
What I'm saying
I
it's
know.
already smooth and easy for KD. But now he's playing with Kyrie and the rest of these guys. It's going to be one of them quiet 30-piece games. KD, he's a player. He probably has the most quiet 30-piece games in league history.
Yeah, I know, man, and it's so frightening to me. And and what's crazy about with Kevin Durant, he's still in a weird way. He's still humble, like, and what makes him like, and it makes it kind of strange, like how I wouldn't say, because you know how like I feel like sometimes he's outside of himself, like and I remember like he talked about one time about, and I know kind of bring back part of my bias, but he was talking about him getting recruited by North Carolina. And he didn't think he was gonna be able to get playing time. I'm like,
Man, you a
dude,
savage. You don't
what the
start.
fuck, bro? You played in the U.S. national team. It was killing cats in 2007. Like, dude, like, bro,
That should be the last thing you worried about. You
you
gonna get minutes. You gonna be
you
all conference.
I don't care where you went. I don't care if you were going. They were going to make a way for you. I don't care what you say. Like people say, like, why are you talking to me? I want to talk. Like who is giving you this sage advice? Like, well, this unsage
Hmm.
advice. Like, wherever you go.
You gonna be the man.
You're gonna be the man regardless of where you go. It's like when he said that, I was like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's refreshing for him not to be like kind of arrogant, but then part of me is like, kind of be arrogant.
No, he's come a long way, but yeah, I like seeing him arrogant too. You know, y'all know who I am.
Because I'm like, you balling, and like to me when he said that, I was like, they will make a way for you. And I mean, I don't want to be, even though it's Christmas, I don't want to be apropos, but we can part the Red Sea for you. Don't get it twisted, Kevin. Like wherever you went, you were gonna be all world.
Oh
Even
yeah,
wherever you were
we gonna hook you up with all the perks, all these perks that they've been talking about. The Clipper guys been getting you getting all that.
right. Man, it's Uncle Dennis. and I'll be Jerry West and I say such and such teams on a shit show.
Yeah.
I'll be Jerry West and be like, yeah, come over here. Texas is shit.
I mean, it ain't no surprise to me though that all that went down, but.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, man. So definitely. So we got some great action tonight, and so we got to put a bow on this Christmas special. So Chris, man, I definitely appreciate you for coming through.
Hey, I appreciate you, bro.
Yes,
anytime. It's always a good time.
Yeah, we'll link up most definitely. So where can they find you on social media?
Man, y'all can find me on Twitter at Chris_Bolton, BOLTON_12. I'm gonna have my NBA tweets. So, y'all can follow me there. You can follow me on IG too at Chris.Bolton_. And, be sure to check out the podcast. Of course, I'm going to have you on this soon. We're going to hook something up. We're going to make something shake. But y'all be sure to check out the podcast to check out with Chirs Bolton. Got his own Apple, Spotify. Got the videos up on YouTube. So, be sure to check me out.
Yeah, definitely check out the podcast. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, on the Couch Coach Live, on social media. Also, the podcast on YouTube. I don't know why she was saying Yahoo, but YouTube, also Apple, Spotify. Anyway, you get your podcast, we are there.
I got you hooked up.
Absolutely. And enjoy the games, guys. And
eat good. You know what I'm saying? Eat good. Take your nap. When you wake up from your nap, go ahead and put it back, turn the TV back to NBA, and enjoy the day.
It's gonna be on all day. Don't worry about the Vikings and the Saints.
It's NBA on Christmas Day. Y'all know how it goes.
All day, every day. It'll be on all day. Like you said, you're gonna take a nap, open gifts, eat.
All that.
It will be on all day long. So definitely appreciate you, Chris, for coming on to the NBA Christmas Day preview. And yeah, and we'll catch you guys next go around. And once again, this has been this week's Couch Coach Live. We'll catch you later.
Holla.